A lot of people have recommended that I play Paper Mario 64, but the thing is, I already have. Multiple times even. While I didn't play the game as often as TTYD or Super Paper Mario, this was still in my rotation of favorites from when I was a kid, and I even 100%ed it on one of my playthroughs years ago. So why did it take me so long to play it on this channel? I do not know. This game doesn't get enough credit for how fantastic the vibes are. Seriously, I think this is the coziest Paper Mario game, and it isn't close. The art style and music are both so dinky but refined at the same time. It's a really solid game. So I decided to take one of my favorite challenge runs I've done in Thousand Year Door and apply it to this game. Can I beat the game without ever attacking? I'm gonna define what an attack is exactly the same as I did in the TTYD version of this run. Mario can never use a jump or hammer command, and partners can never use anything that deals damage to an enemy. Status moves from partners are still allowed, such as Kooper's Dizzy Shell or Watt's paralysis moves. For fun, I also decided to allow the use of Parakarry's Airlift, Bow's Spook, and Lackalester's Hurricane, which have a chance to instantly defeat enemies. These obviously don't work on bosses, so they shouldn't break the challenge at any point. So how exactly do we defeat enemies? Well, we're allowed to use items, Star Spirit abilities, and any other miscellaneous forms of damage. You'll see what I mean by that later. The only other rule is that this is going to be a glitchless run. Paper Mario 64 has a huge amount of glitches that can be used to completely break sequences and cheese just about every area of the game, so a glitches included run would be a totally different beast. I want to beat this challenge while actually playing the video game. And with that, let's begin. Yeah, spoiler alert, we can't. Yeah, if you've ever played this game before, you were probably wondering how I planned on dealing with the prologue. Here's my secret. I didn't. Unlike Thousand Year Door, where you start with action commands and even super guarding right from the get-go, PM64 doesn't let you time your hits or guard attacks until you obtain the Lucky Star at the end of the prologue. This doesn't seem like it would be a huge issue in the no attacking challenge, but the real problem is that we have a very limited selection of items until we reach the shop in Toad Town. And because of this, we're gonna have to suck it up and just say that the challenge truly begins in Toad Town. So that means that the scripted Bowser loss, the Junior Troopa fight, the Goomba Bros, and the Goomba King are all gonna have to be beaten by traditional means. We get the Lucky Star from Twink, yes, that is the character's actual name, who is Peach's star-shaped companion in this game, and immediately after we're ambushed by a Magikoopa. This is our first required fight post-Toad Town, so we're able to bring 3 Fire Flowers from the shop in order to beat this fight without attacking. I used a POW block in place of one of the flowers since it was cheaper, and because for some reason POW blocks can hit all types of enemies in the first 2 Paper Mario games, despite their tooltips saying they only hit grounded enemies. There aren't any more required fights in the prologue, so we can go talk to Merlin, learn that the first Star Spirit is in Koopa Bros Fortress, reveal these stinky fake toads, and begin the first chapter for real. For the most part, I'm gonna skip non-required fights in this challenge, and especially early on. We don't have any Star Spirit abilities yet, and it's going to be a few chapters before we get one that can deal any damage, so for now we're entirely relying on items. Money is very tight at the beginning of this game, so optional enemies just aren't worth how many Fire Flowers we'd have to buy. After spinning past all the evil Koopas, we reach the nice Koopas in Koopa Village, and they're being attacked by evil Dryerlint. In order to chase them away for good, we have to help Kooper get his shell back. The Fuzzies challenge us to a minigame, we win, and then they attack us anyways. These guys all have 3 health, so a single Fire Flower gets the job done. Afterwards, Kooper joins us as our second partner, and he has exactly 1 more useful move than Goombario does. That means he has 1 useful move. Yeah, I kinda glossed over him in the prologue, but Goombario is a pretty useless partner in this challenge. Tattle is technically useful, but only in terms of revealing health information and not in terms of progressing any any fights. When super ranked, Goombario learns Charge, which increases the damage of his attacks, and when ultra ranked, he learns Multi-Bonk, which is an attack. Cooper only starts with attacking moves, so that makes him useless in battle right now, but once he ranks up, he can learn Dizzy Shell. This move makes enemies dizzy without damaging them, meaning we're allowed to use it in this run. His ultra rank move is another AoE shell attack, so we're never gonna bother ultra ranking him. Now that we recruited Koops but with no personality or awesome edgy hoodie, we're able to break into the Koopa Bros fortress. Before we do that though, there is an insanely useful badge that we have surprisingly early access to, Zap Tap. Rounding up 10 star pieces allows us to get it from Merlo on Shooting Star Summit, and it permanently gives us the shock effect from the Volt Shroom. This makes enemies take 1 damage when they contact you, regardless of whether you block them or not. Item spam is more efficient in terms of time and damage that Mario takes, but Zap Tap is gonna have some time in the spotlight later, don't you worry. I was hoping we'd be able to save some items against Koopas with zap damage, but unfortunately Koopas don't take any recoil from Shocky Mario. While doing the backtracking for star pieces and Zap Tap, I also returned to Goomba Village. After the initial Shooting Star Summit visit, Goomba has fixed the fallen veranda and there's a Shooting Star item sitting on it. This does 6 damage to every enemy but can't be purchased infinitely until much later in the game, so it's a pretty hot commodity right now. Cooper also gives us access to this Thunderbolt on Pleasant Path, and this particular item is going to be very important in a second. I fought the first enemy in Koopa Bros Fortress and I defeated them using a Fright Jar. This item has a chance to scare away enemies, but they won't drop any XP if you defeat them like this. Given that there are 6 more required battles in this fortress before the boss fight, I immediately turned around to go get my inventory sorted. We're gonna need a ton of fire flowers since Koopas annoyingly take 2 items to defeat right now. Another problem is we're deadass broke. Money is way tighter in Paper Mario 64's early game compared to TTYD. In TTYD, I usually just sell badges that aren't usable under whatever challenge rules I'm doing, but you can't sell badges at all in 64 since there's a finite 80 badges. So we're gonna have to make like 1773 and throw a tea party. You can get a Koopa leaf in a couple bushes in Koopa Village and they'll respawn if you walk even 1 room away. So we can build up an inventory full of 10 of them and then sell them to the local shop for a single coin each. Yeah, it's not exactly fast, but it's the best we have right now. I think I spent about 20 minutes total coin grinding in this chapter, which is honestly nothing for one of these stupid Paper Mario challenge runs. So I killed all of the required Koopas and Bob-Ombs with fire flowers repeatedly, and along the way we recruited Bombette. She is completely useless in battle for the no attacking challenge. Or at least that's what I thought at first. All 4 of her abilities are different ways to deal damage, but there is a very niche mechanic that I learned during this run that gives Bombette some time in the spotlight. That isn't until chapter 7 though, so don't hold your breath. Eventually, I made my way to the top of the fortress where the Koopa Bros attack us with bullet bills. We can just weave through the bills themselves and confront the blasters. These, at least to me, seem like the kind of enemy that would be fireproof, but surprisingly no, they can be damaged by fire flowers just fine. It's kind of funny how easy item spam is this early in the game. We're kind of just nuking everything with OP attacks, but it requires so much work outside of battle to keep it up. And so, onto the first boss, Bowser himself. I guess he decided he wanted seconds after kicking Mario's ass earlier in the prologue, so he took to the battlefield himself. He only has 10 HP in this phase, so I depleted it by using 4 fire flowers. Suddenly, Bowser explodes and ew, the Koopa Bros were inside him the whole time? The Koopa Bros emerge in a stack formation and attack us for 4 damage. Normally, you have to use 2 attacks in a row to knock them over, but you can also use Bomb with Bombette to knock them over in a single hit. But why is that relevant if it doesn't fit the rule set? Well, there's one other way we can knock them over in a single hit like this, and that's using the Thunderbolt item that we got earlier. That's why it was so important that we held onto it, because without it, we wouldn't be able to knock the Koopa Bros over, they would kill Mario, and Bowser would rule the world. And in case you were thinking that we could just use an item with Mario and then with our partner, not only did TTYD add a separate health stat for partners after 64, but it also added an option for partners to use items. In this game, partners cannot use items, they can only use their moves, swap to another partner, or do nothing. This means Mario has to be the one to knock them down in a single action, and the Thunderbolt is by far the best way to do it. After they get knocked down, they're stunned for a turn, so we can use that Shooting Star from earlier as well. This one-shots all of them since they only have 5 health each. Defeating them recovers old-ass Mustache Guy, and his ability allows us to restore 5 HP HP and 5 FP in exchange for 1 SP. SP management is going to be very important in this run, and we get to experience that right now because Junior Troopa attacks us for his first of many rematches throughout the story. He has 15 HP and 2 attack this time. I had a bunch of fire flowers that I just bought, but with Zap Tap we're able to save a lot of them. With a guard, both me and Junior Troopa take 1 damage whenever he attacks me, but I have refresh to heal 5 HP back. You can use the focus command with Mario's turn to heal extra star power, so I'm able to stall him out with passive damage and save some of my hard-earned items. Chapter 2 sends Mario and his team off to Mount Rugged and Dry Desert in search of Dry ruins. This is where the second Star Spirit is being held captive, and thankfully our Twink friend was once again able to relay that information to us. To reach Mount Rugged, we have to take a train in the newly unlocked lower portion of Toad Town. Down here, there's also a second Toad Town shop that sells Thunder Rages, meaning we have a much stronger renewable item source now. Equally important, we unlock a much better coin grinding method now: gambling. By doing a couple favors for Koopa Koot, this needy-ass old guy that should probably be put in a nursing home, you can get the silver credit, which gives you access to the Jump Attack minigame in the hidden Toad Town game parlor. Yes, I know it has attack in the name. No, it does not count against the rules of this challenge. In this minigame, 11 blocks spawn containing a total of 4 1-coin panels, 3 5-coin panels, 2 ×5 panels, and 2 Bowser panels. You can choose between playing 5 block, 7 block, and 9 block, and you have to keep hitting blocks until you either hit the amount of blocks you chose or you hit a Bowser block. If you hit the specified number of blocks without hitting a Bowser, you're rewarded with the coins you earned from the panels. If you hit a Bowser though, it's instant game over and you get no money. Ideally, you want to hit the ×5 panels last, since they only apply to your current coin total and don't get counted up at the end. With a 10 coin entry fee, you are statistically more likely to make a profit than not on the 5 block and 7 block options, but the 9 block option is a 1 in 55 chance to win, with the payout often not being good enough to cover how much you're gonna have to spend to achieve that. This isn't the best money grinding method in the game, but it's absolutely my favorite. There aren't any required fights for a while, so as we play through the story and avoid moles and rocks as best we can, I'll highlight all the random items and badges I rounded up for later. There's a magical seed which we'll need to get to start chapter 6 way later in the game, and it saves a ton of backtracking to grab it now. There's 2 badges on Mount Rugged: Quake Hammer and Damage Dodge. The former obviously can't be used in this challenge, but the latter is one of the best badges in the whole game. It increases Mario's defense by an extra 1 point when guarding, and since there isn't super guarding in this game, you're gonna want to guard every attack anyways. Defensive badges are going to be not just important for this run, but essential. We also recruit Parakarry at this point, who's charming but underwhelming in terms of battle abilities. His 2 default moves are just attacks, but his super rank move, Airlift, has a chance to remove an enemy from battle without awarding star points. His ultra rank move is an AoE attack, so we're never gonna see ultra rank Parakarry. At the end of Mount Rugged, we're confronted by Buzzer, and if you answer Luigi when she asks who you are, you can avoid the fight and move on. I really didn't feel like using a bunch of items to beat her, so that's what I opted to do. Heading into Dry Desert, this is a maze-like area that's actually made up of a 7x7 grid of rooms, and there's a handful of useful things scattered throughout. All the way down and one area to the right lies Attack FXC, which makes Peach moan every time you use your hammer. Seriously, I'm not exaggerating. Listen. So naturally, I left that equipped for the rest of the playthrough. 3 areas to the right and then up 4 contains Runaway Pay, which allows you to retain star points if you defeat some enemies and then run away. This badge sucks. Heading 3 areas straight down from here and then getting blown by this Twister will allow you to get the Spin Attack badge, which lets you spin dash into weaker enemies to instantly defeat them, similar to First and Bump Attack. This is also pretty useless for this run, since we're going to be insanely underleveled for most of the game due to skipping most optional fights. Can I just give a huge shout out to the spin dash in general though? It makes moving around this game's world so breezy and fun, and it's actually such a shame that they never put it in a Paper Mario game again. Beyond those badges, there are a handful of other items scattered throughout the desert that will save us a tiny bit of money grinding. The first partner upgrade block is found in the Oasis here, and I chose to unlock Parakarry's Airlift rather than Kooper's Dizzy Shell. For now at least. The shop in Dry Outpost sells Thunderbolts for 5 coins, which is an insane insane value. Reminder that Thunderbolts deal 5 damage to a single target, and Thunder Rages deal 5 damage to every enemy. This makes Thunderbolts really cost-effective for boss fights especially. I zoomed through the Dry Outpost story stuff, got the Marco Polo rock from Moustafa, and used it to open up Dry ruins. Spoiler alert, all of the items we find in here are useless for this challenge. Spike Shield doesn't help us, the Super Hammer is only an overworld ability in this run, and Slow Go is, well, yeah, actually it's as good as it normally is. There's a room with 3 required Pokey Mummy battles, and some of them are accompanied by swoopers. They all have 4 health, so Thunder Rages can one-tap all of them. In these ruins, there's also 3 required battles against 2 Stone Chomps each. They deal 3 damage per attack, but damage dodge reduces that to just 1 damage when blocked. They take Zap Tap damage, so we're able to stall them out like we did with Junior Troopa, except I was having some trouble hitting this guard timing. The thing about guards in this game is that there's a 3-frame window to hit them, and this is technically the same amount of frames you have to hit a super guard in TTYD. But PM64 runs at 30 FPS, so the frames are twice as long, at least compared to GameCube TTYD. Still though, 1/10 of a second for the normal guard is a bit strict, and these chomps attack fast. I managed to take my first death of the run and had to replay some stuff, but a Thunder Rage on this first Stone Chomp battle avoided any more potential skill issues and allowed me to level up and finally upgrade my health. With more health, the stalling strats were no problem on the other 2 Stone Chomp fights, and I reached the chapter boss. This guy is named Tootin' Koopa since he's a Pharaoh-esque Koopa character. He's a wizard that uses magic, chain chomps, and buzzy beetle shells to attack. He has 30 HP, and if you completed the first grade, you would probably notice that my items only deal a total of 25 damage here. I thought I was gonna have to backtrack all the way through the ruins to the Dry Outpost shop, but my chat pointed out a fun little mechanic Tootin' Koopa has. His magic attack shakes the ground and drops rocks onto Mario and his partner, dealing 2 damage to Mario and stunning the partner for 2 turns. However, there's a chance for his attack to backfire and hit himself with a rock for 2 damage instead. This knocks him down and stuns him for a turn, and afterwards he'll hop back up top. Luckily, he runs out of buzzy shells pretty fast and never restocks them, so he'll use the magic attack more often after that. With Refresh and some good guards, we can stall him out until he deals 6 damage to himself. A fun side effect of this strat is that your partner will get stun locked forever since they get an extra 2 turns of stun each time the rocks hit you. Our partner is entirely useless in this fight, so it doesn't really matter. I was advised that Tootin' Koopa can't finish himself off with a spell backfire, so I held my last 2 items until he dipped to 9 health. Overall, this was a really fun way to beat this guy, and it was totally worth avoiding the backtracking. This time we rescue the Star Spirit Mamar, who gives us the Lullaby Star Spirit power. This has a chance to put enemies to sleep, but it's hard to justify using it when it's the same resource that gives us infinite healing and will soon give us infinite damage. I skipped mentioning the Peach intermission after chapter 1, but I will talk about it this time because there's elements to it that affect Mario besides the story. In between each chapter, you play as Princess Peach briefly to gather information about where Mario needs to go on his quest next. They used this idea again in Thousand Year Door, but honestly, I think they were done slightly better in 64. The Bowser's Castle exploration is a little less scripted feeling than the Exnaut Fortress exploration, but that's not the point here. The main thing I want to talk about this time is the Ender Chest. Peach is able to obtain a couple badges during some of her segments, and this time you're able to get both Power Rush and Deep Focus. Power Rush is normally an S tier badge in this game, but it's unfortunately useless for this challenge. Deep Focus, however, is probably in the top 5 most important badges for this whole run. It increases Mario's SP recovery when focusing, making SP strats as a whole much faster. Peach can put these badges in the Ender Chest, and Mario is able to retrieve them at the other end in Shooting Star Summit. Unfortunately, I did forget to grab these badges before beginning chapter 3 since there was a multiple day gap between those streams, but once I did get it, I never took it off. Beating Chapter 2 gives Ralph's Badge Shop in Toad Town a very important restock. He now sells Dodge Master and Double Dip. Dodge Master increases the timing window for guards, which is fantastic for consistency, and Double Dip allows you to spend 3 FP for the ability to use 2 items in 1 turn. There really isn't a lot of foreplay for Chapter 3. Peach and Twink find out that some invincible guy named Tubba Blubba has the 3rd Star Spirit, so we have to head through Forever Forest to find his castle. However, Mario Mario is also invited to Boo's mansion by Bootler, a ghost butler. Forever Forest is a pretty cool maze-like puzzle area, and there aren't any required fights in here for now. I did run into a lot of enemies since the paths are tight, but running away allows me to save my items for later. Here's another important reminder to get this magical seed while you're here to avoid backtracking later. Eventually, we get to Boo's mansion, have to solve some puzzles inside, and then we meet Lady Bo at the top. As it turns out, they managed to steal the Star Spirit from Tubba Blubba and are ransoming him to get Mario's help defeating Tubba Blubba. Sure, why not? Bo joins our party temporarily to help us in the fight, but I mean, is it really a spoiler to say that she stays after the chapter is over? This game was released 1 year and 1 month before the towers fell, so it's been over 25 years. Bo is already one of the best partners in the game under normal conditions, and she's a strong contender for the best in this challenge as well. Smack, of course, can't be used, but her other default ability is Out of Sight, which is similar to Vivian's Veil and TTYD on paper, but is actually quite a bit different in practice. When using Veil, Mario and Vivian will dodge all attacks for a turn, but then your enemies are given another chance to attack after you re-emerge. This makes it good for avoiding strong charged up attacks, but pretty useless against enemies that are using similar strength attacks every turn. In Paper Mario 64, however, Out of Sight will avoid all enemy attacks for a round and then give Mario an additional action before your enemies attack again. If the enemy does something besides attack you during that turn of invisibility, then it's not quite a free turn, but if they just attack and miss, then Mario literally gains another turn for free. Out of Sight is somehow a combination of the functions of Veil and Rally Wink in TTYD, and it is going to be huge for the rest of this run. With a rank up, Bo also learns Spook, which has a chance to scare away all enemies without earning any star points from them. Yes, Bo has 2 entire moves that are useful in this run. She's the GOAT. And fortunately, we don't have to wait long to see Out of Sight strats in action. There are literally no required battles in this chapter besides the boss fights, so we can just through Tubba's castle and pretty much skip straight to the boss fight against Tubba's heart in the windmill. Believe it or not, this fight ended up being one of the hardest fights in the whole run. I know, it surprised me too. I think this is normally one of the easiest bosses in the game since it's kind of a gimmick. He has 50 HP, but the fight ends when he reaches 5 or less, functionally giving him 45 HP. I have an inventory full of Thunder Rages, so I need to last 9 turns against this guy to deal the damage that we need. Tubba's heart has 2 moves, one where he charges for a turn and then unleashes a whopping 12 damage, and another where he just tackles you for 6 damage. With guards, refreshes, and Out of Sights, it's easy enough to run a sustainable cycle of stalling to deal the damage that we need. The problem, believe it or not, is Phase 2. Yes, the phase where the heart hops back into Tubba Blubba's body and you have to fight the whole guy. During this phase, he has 4 attack but just 10 health since Tubba Blubba is supposed to be weak without his invincible gimmick, at least lore-wise. I ended the heart phase with just 4 health, not enough FP for an Out of Sight, and not enough SP for a refresh. I also only had 1 Thunder Rage left, and you can't go back to restock items between phases since you're forced into the Tubba encounter. This means I had to rely on Zap Tap to deal the 5 damage I would need on top of the Thunder Rage. I began the fight, used a focus so I could afford a refresh, and then whiffed the guard and died. I pretty much always just nuke him in a single turn when I play this game, so I didn't even remember what his attack animation looked like. After another round with the heart, I reached the Tubba fight with 10 health this time. Unfortunately though, I forgot to equip Zap Tap between phases, forcing me to reset the game and fight the heart a 3rd time. This time around though, I made it to the Tubba phase with 12 HP and 3 FP, giving me a much bigger buffer for mistakes. And good thing too, because his stomp attack does 6 damage unblocked. After zapping him 5 times, I popped the Thunder Rage and struck him down with the Might of Zeus. I'm still in shock that I had to actually use my brain to beat this phase. Things like this are one of my favorite parts of Paper Mario challenge runs and just challenge runs in general. Sometimes the most trivial scripted ass parts of the game turn into brand new puzzles. Defeating this guy sends him running away crying, and Bo permanently joins our team and gives us the Star Spirit like she promised. And oh man, I hope that Star Spirits have good health care, because Scholar's back is going to be incredibly sore from carrying the entire rest of this run. His power allows us to spend 2 SP to deal 7 damage to all enemies. Yes, it's a renewable and slightly stronger version of a shooting star. This ability is fantastic in a normal playthrough and completely essential in this one. The Peach intermission is really short this time, but Bowser asks Peach a few questions that affect what items or enemies spawn for Mario during Chapter 4. Much to chat's disappointment, I picked some of the easier options. We're gonna have more than our share of tedious fights in Chapter 4, I assure you. Before we can officially begin Chapter 4 though, we run into Junior Troopa on the way out of Forever Forest. This time he flies and has 40 health, which is a huge jump up from the last encounter. Instead of filling my inventory with useful things, I decided to buy 10 mystery bags from the Booze Mansion shop since they were only 1 coin each. They randomly select an item from a roulette of items, and thankfully we can fall back on spamming Starstorm if the mysteries don't work out. Stone Cap. Does this stack with Zap Tap? It doesn't even work with Zap Tap. It just doesn't do anything. We're just stalling. Yes, damage. No, give me the... How much does the pebble do? The pebble hurts me? Are you fucking me? Come on, Thunder Rage. No, don't pebble me again. God damn it. It's a stone, Luigi. You didn't make it. This is gonna be a long fight. Okay, here. You know what I'm gonna do? I'm gonna add a Starstorm in the mix so that my stuff can regenerate while I'm spamming mysteries. Okay, mystery. Give me damage on him, please. Fire Flower? That's damage. No, I don't want the Stone Cap. All it does is waste my time. All right, we go again. Come on. Oh, I guess I farmed star power from that. I swear I almost got the pebble again. Damage? Yes! No, they're not all full of rocks. It's not just a rock. It's a Thunder Rage. Thunder Rage, come on. Yes! More damage. Huge. Fire Flower? More damage, good. It's just a bag of lightning and rocks, but also fire. Let's use the last mystery. Give me damage, please, please, please. All right. There we go. He died by ramming into me repeatedly. Let's go. Returning to Toad Town immediately throws us into the conflict for Chapter 4. Shy Guys are ravaging Toad Town, harassing people and stealing things from them such as Ralph's calculator, closing the badge shop until we recover it. Before locating Shy Guy's toy box, the main area for Chapter 4, I finally remembered to go to the other end of the Ender Chest in Shooting Star Summit so I could get that copy of Deep Focus. Afterwards, I immediately headed for the toy box. This chapter has a lot of backtracking between Shy Guy's toy box and Toad Town in order to make progress through the train stations, but most of the combat is optional, so once again we'll breeze through and I'll tell you all the important items and badges that we get. I grabbed the calculator back from this Shy Guy near the first area, and this gives us access to another fantastic badge from the badge shop, Group Focus. This gives all of your partners a focus option during battle that can restore even more star power on top of Mario's focuses and the default passive SP regen. Considering the fact that they've spent a lot of time doing nothing in this run so far, this is a huge upgrade since it always gives them something productive to do with their turn. Anti-Guy is found at the blue station, but he only unlocks a power plus, which is useless for this run anyways. To make up for skipping this mini-boss, I promise you I will fight the 3 Anti-Guys later in Chapter 8. Heading back into the toy box with the train now unlocked, we can reach the pink station, which has a couple more useful things for us. Chief among them is the Defend Plus badge. It costs 6 BP to equip, which is a little hard to swallow, but a flat 1 defense increase is still pretty worthwhile. Gourmet Guy drops the cookbook when you feed him the cake, and the cookbook allows Taste Tea to combine 2 items at once into new recipes. I didn't do a whole lot of cooking in this playthrough, but it did come up later. The green station doesn't really have anything of interest for this run, but the final red station sure does. This area to the left must be completed before progressing to the chapter boss on the right, and it contains a hidden badge block with a second copy of Deep Focus. This one stacks with our other copy, allowing Mario's focus to become nearly unparalleled.
My focus is unparalleled!
In this cave on the far left, we have what may very well be the worst boss fight in this whole run, the Lantern Ghost. He's a pretty gimmicky fight, and honestly I really like his gimmick normally. You can't target him at first and have to attack his lantern in order to reveal him. Once you do, he'll blow the lantern back out after a couple turns to hide himself again, so you need to repeat that process until he goes down. The problem we run into here is that items and Starstorm can't be used in the dark. They won't even try to hit the lantern or the ghost himself, they're just grayed out in the menu. And even if we did hit the lantern, we can't attack with our partners, so he'd just be able to blow it back out and go back into hiding. So is this it? Is the challenge over? Well, there is one other option that we have. ZapTap must come to the rescue once again. While he's in the dark, he can only use his Contact Stomp move, which causes him to take 1 damage of Zap recoil. So by just spamming Focus, Refresh, Do Nothings, and Guards, we can eventually take him down. It's definitely an eventually because he has 40 health. We have to spend 40 turns letting him attack us until he finally dies. This ended up taking me way more than 40 turns because I had to stall often with bows out of sight to keep my SP and health up, but luckily this isn't the live version, so we can just fast forward to the end where he dies. If you do want to check out the live unedited version of this challenge though, I will have all 4 stream VODs linked below. Beating this stupid ass Lantern Ghost unlocks Watt, who goes head to head with Bo for being the best partner in this run. The default attack is banned as per usual, but her second attack is great. It gives you a chance to paralyze a single enemy for a couple turns, which completely immobilizes them. A lot of bosses are surprisingly weak to it, so it's definitely gonna come in handy. Her super rank ability just increases Mario's attack power temporarily, and it doesn't apply to items, so it's useless, but her ultra rank move that we can get later extends the targeting for her paralyze move to all enemies. It's very good, stay tuned. With Watt on our team now, we can reach General Guy, the boss of Chapter 4. This fight is probably my favorite one in the game, and it absolutely, completely embarrasses all Shy Guy appearances in Color Splash. Mods, add one to the Color Splash crash out count for that. The General Guy fight is done in 4 phases. At first, he doesn't even appear, and you have to fight 15 Shy Guys combined into one enemy called the Shy Squad. They have 15 health and get to hit you for 1 damage per Shy Guy remaining in the squad. I opened with a Starstorm, reducing them to 8 Shy Guys, and then I group focused with Bo. You can block every hit from the Shy Squad to nullify their damage, but we have another trick up our sleeve. It's actually the same trick as the last fight. It cancels their entire attack and deletes a Shy Guy after the first hit. I stalled out the rest of the Shy Squad with Zap Tap so I could go into phase 2 with enough SP for another Starstorm. General Guy summons 2 Stilt Guys with 7 HP each, so I can defeat them before they attack with a single Starstorm. Phase 3 is a pair of Shy Stacks which have 10 health each. And again, I had a plan for defeating them in a single turn. Double Dipping Thunder Rages deals 10 to each of them and puts us into the final phase against General Guy and his stupid little tank. There's a shooting star that I got in the room right before this fight, so I used that on phase 1 to deal damage to both General Guy and his light bulb. The bulb gives him an electric attack that can disable your partners, and it has 8 HP, so it's pretty easy to deal with since all of our attacks hit everything anyways. He attacks with a bomb on the first turn, which only deals 2 blocked, and then I took down the bulb and dealt another 7 damage to the main target with a Starstorm. From there, all I had to do was stall him out with Refresh Healing, double dip some more Thunder Rages, and then finish him off with one more Starstorm. This guy only has 30 health due to his defense, but all of our attacks ignore defense anyway, so I kinda shredded him. The Star Spirit we rescued this time is named Muscular, and he gives us the power Chill Out. This ability is quite good, lowering the attack of all enemies by 3 for 4 turns. This effect has a 100% success rate and can't be blocked by anything, although it's still hard to justify using over Starstorm at any given point since they cost the same amount of SP to use. After wasting my money on 20 coin Thunder Rages instead of 5 coin Thunderbolts for the last 2 chapters like an idiot, I was down to less than 100 coins and had basically an empty inventory. This is why it was medically necessary for me to play Jump Attack for 45 minutes to get back up to 500 coins. I need Jump Attack to live. Beyond that, there really isn't much else we need to get before tackling Chapter 5, so let's just go straight to that. We need to head to Lava Lava Island to find the next Star Spirit who's being held captive in Mount Lava Lava. lava. To get to this island, we need to befriend this big-ass tuna. He has a tummy ache, and he invites us inside his stomach to help investigate. Yeah, that kind of sounds like a trap. Is he gonna digest us? Lurking inside is Fuzzipede, who the tuna accidentally swallowed. He's a mini-boss that you're required to have Watt out for since it's dark without her being present, and he only has 20 HP and 3 attacks, so he isn't much of a threat. If he has 7 or less health, he's able to heal for 4 HP, but he doesn't spam it, so it doesn't really matter. After the fight, the tuna blows us out, and we're able to sail to Lava Lava Island with Colorado. I've always loved Colorado personally. He's incompetent and slows you down, but it's handled in pretty funny ways and doesn't waste too much of your time. He gets attacked by jungle fuzzies in the second area of Lava Lava Island, and you can either fight them and save him or just walk past. If you run past, he'll catch up with you and scold you for not helping him, but if you go back, the fuzzies are gone, so he actually just fucking rolled them. The Yoshi Village shop is a fantastic resource for this challenge. Thunder Rages are 15 coins instead of 20, and we're able to buy snowman dolls. Snowman dolls deal 4 damage to every enemy, which sounds like it's just a worse Thunder Rage, but it also counts as ice/water damage, which is going to be huge for this chapter's boss. We have a lot of work to do before we can get there, and next up is rescuing the 5 Yoshi kids that played a stupid-ass game of hide and seek where they all got lost, including the Seeker. Rounding them up doesn't take too much time, although there are a couple fights along the way. Before we find any Yoshi kids though, we have to recruit Sushi. She's okay as far as partners go in this challenge. We can't use her belly flop or unfortunately named Squirt, but her super rank move, Water Block, gives Mario a nice defense buff for a few turns, which is pretty nice. Her ultra rank move is an AoE attack, so we have to fight 4 ambushes in this section, and they have 8 health each. The M in ambush most likely stands for George W. Bush, a subtle reference to the fact that George W. Bush would be elected president of the United States just a few months after the release of this game. There's a Yoshi kid being threatened by 2 putrid piranhas, which look like normal piranha plants in this game, but they do in fact have stinky breath. They also have 12 HP, which is kind of a lot at this point, so taking them down requires a lot of resources. I had no star power at this particular moment, so I used 3 Thunder Rages instead. After saving all 5 Yoshi kids, the village elder gives us the Jade Raven, unlocking the deepest reaches of the jungle. However, there's something that we can tackle earlier than you might expect. Spoiler alert, there's another Junior Troopa fight after Chapter 5. I know, who could have expected him to return again? But actually, this fight becomes available after you do the Yoshi Kid quest. It triggers whenever you head back to Toad Town. I never knew this when playing this game as a kid. I always thought that he was supposed to be after Chapter 5. Junior Troopa swims all the way to Lava Lava Island to find you, only to catch you as you're heading back to Toad Town on the tuna. He immediately U-turns and swims back to Toad Town, and because of this, his health drops from 40 to 20 when the fight begins. Yes, he's tired from swimming a bunch, so he loses half his health. It's so good. This lower health is balanced out by the fact that he has learned the ability to fly and have a spike. This makes him untargetable by Mario's normal attacks unless you have Spike Shield or Hammer Throw, but all of our attacks are contactless in this run anyways, so this is just like any other 20 HP fight for us. With a little stalling to heal and recover SP, I was able to kill him in just 3 Star Storms. So after that, we can head deeper into the jungle. There's some fun puzzles here, and at the end of this segment, we have to fight 3 putrid piranhas, and for some reason, there's also a Kamek here. I don't know why he's here, but he's chilling, I guess. I Starstormed everything, but then Kamek healed everyone, so I had to double dip a Thunder Rage and Snowman Doll to finish the fight. Just up ahead is this big-ass tree, and at the top is Raphael the Raven, who might just be the most cooperative, helpful, and reasonable side character in any Mario RPG. There's also a Happy Heart badge on this tree, which is kind of underwhelming most of the time, but actually pretty solid in this run. It gives Mario a 1 in 2 chance to recover 1 HP per turn, which is actually a lot when we're running so much defense and only taking 1 or 2 damage on blocked attacks. Raphael immediately jumps into action, unlocking the way to Mount Lava Lava. He also gives us the Ultra Stone, allowing us to finally rank up our partners a second time and access all those ultra rank moves I've been yapping about for the whole video. Heading into the volcano, there's surprisingly no more required fights until the boss, and the dungeon is definitely more straightforward than I remember. It's always bothered me that the putrid piranha sentries speak like robots, because why are the most organic possible enemies the ones that talk the most artificially? They're literally just plants. Anyways, the most important badge to grab while we're in here is Fire Shield, which increases our defense against fire enemies by 1 and would allow Mario to jump on fire enemies if we could, you know, actually do that. We can. This badge is useful for the chapter boss fight against Lava Piranha because, unsurprisingly, all all of his attacks are fire-based. He has 40 HP and is accompanied by 2 lava buds. Their damage output per turn is very high, but it falls a little flat once the lava buds are defeated. They have 8 health each, and when it's depleted, they shrivel up and become inactive. The Lava Piranha has 5 attacks, so combining damage dodge, defend plus, fire shield, and the normal +1 defense that a guard gives, the Lava Piranha only deals 1 damage blocked. That's pretty weak, so he's not a threat at all. After some stalling and healing, etc., we can finish off his 40 health and initiate phase 2. He sinks into the lava and then re-emerges with his 40 HP recovered, and him and his buds are also on fire now. This increases their attack by a bit, but it also gives them a glaring weakness to ice, which is exactly why I saved 4 snowman dolls for this phase. While they're on fire, using a snowman doll will deal 6 damage instead of the usual 4, and it will stun them for a couple turns. After those turns are up, he and his lava buds will light back on fire, but they wait a turn after doing this, so you're able to use a snowman doll again without having to tank any damage. So by cycling through snowman dolls, partner focuses, and star storms, I was able to beat this phase pretty easily. It's such a cool boss fight, but it's really held back by how weak it is to snowman dolls and Sushi's water attacks. The star spirit we unlock during this chapter is named Miss Star, and her ability is Smooch. Yes, Mario gets kissed by a god, demigod, whatever these things are equivalent to. Her kiss heals 20 HP for 3 SP. Pretty solid. During this intermission, we can meet this gay toad and get another super strong badge, Last Stand. It cuts the damage Mario takes in half when he's at 5 HP or less for only 1 BP, making it a great emergency defense buff in this challenge. Just like before, we can pop it in the ender chest and then retrieve it as Mario when we swap back to him. There's another excellent badge that becomes available now, Damage Dodge. Again, yes, there is a second copy of it for sale at Ralph's shop after Chapter 5, and having 2 of them is twice as good as having 1 of them. That's going to be a mainstay for the rest of the run, like pretty much every other defensive badge. I also rounded up a few more star pieces so I could buy a second Happy Heart as well as the Pretty Lucky badge from Merlo on Shooting Star Summit. Pretty Lucky gives us a 10% evasion chance from all attacks, and I figured that it could be useful in some of the grindy upcoming fights. I don't think I wore it for a single boss fight. Lamau. We also need to get a 3rd magical seed since they're required to begin Chapter 6, and this one is actually held by Colorado. He got it from the jungle bubble off camera, but we can get this volcano vase that was launched out during the volcano escape and trade it to him. Then we can head back to Toad Town, grab the 4th magical seed, which was actually the first one available, and then spawn the magical DORE to reach Flower Fields. First, we have to head east to find and save Petunia from the Monty Moles that are chomping on her roots. These guys are called Monty Moles just like the enemies from Chapter 2, but they have a green tint to them and have way more health. At this point, you're pretty used to the routine of Thunder Rages and Star Storms, so we're gonna skim over the 4 required fights and receive the magical bean from Petunia. There's also a Happy Flower badge we can get by hitting the middle, right, then left tree in that order in this nearby room. The only other badge in this chapter that's useful for this challenge in any way can be obtained by throwing a blueberry in the well to the east of Petunia's room. A copy of Flower Saver is thrown back up, but honestly this badge is so disgustingly expensive to equip in this game. Your BP maxes out at 30 and cannot be upgraded any further, and Flower Saver costs 6 to equip. It reduces the cost of all your FP moves by 1, and for us that's mainly double dip. There's a bunch more story items like the fertile soil and the magical water that we need to reach the boss, so I'll show the other fights that I had to do in this chapter to achieve all that. There's a required ambush fight against 2 Lakitus and 2 Spinies. Like every other standard enemy, they stand no chance against a couple Star Storms. On our way back from the tower where the literal sun is just hanging out at the top, we get ambushed by Michael. Sorry, he actually goes by Spike now.
That's tough.
He has 50 HP and only 4 attack, meaning he does no damage to us when blocked. I entered the fight with low-ish health, but refreshed a couple times and then stalled him out and defeated him with Star Storms. He immediately joins our party afterwards as the final partner in the game. He goes by Lackluster again, since that was presumably his given name and it's the name his girlfriend calls him. Michael's 2 starting attacks are just that, attacks, but his final 2 moves are both allowed in this challenge. Cloud 9 boosts Mario's evasion rate for a few turns, and Hurricane has a chance to remove every enemy from battle like Bo's Spook. I would love to tell you how good or not good these moves are, but I didn't use them for the entire rest of the playthrough. The The final task we have to complete before climbing up in the sky to take on the boss of Flower Fields is to destroy this AI data center machine that's polluting the land. These tech bros fucking love generative AI though and think it's the funniest shit they've ever seen, so we're gonna have to take them on. A Starstorm followed by an Out of Sight and then into a Thunder Rage effortlessly takes down the whole fight with no damage received on our end. Finally, we can take this beanstalk thing up into the clouds and confront Huff and Puff. This guy is another top contender for my favorite boss in this game. The music is good enough reason on its own. This track goes seriously hard. I think his difficulty is really well balanced even for a Paper Mario game. He can still be shredded by peril strats like any other boss in the first two games, but he's actually really strong if you're dealing mortal amounts of damage per turn. And unfortunately for us, that's all we're capable of. See, he has this fun mechanic where he spawns an amount of Tough Puffs equal to the number of damage he took. He can spawn big and small ones, and he's able to eat them and heal himself. Big ones heal for 2 and small ones heal for 1, so this means he can pretty easily stall you while also unleashing big damage back to you. Oh yeah, since he's a Storm Cloud, he's also immune to thunder attacks, i.e. Thunderbolts and Thunder Rages. This means we're stuck using Snowman Dolls for our highest damaging item, which slows down the battle even more. However, there are 2 saving graces to this fight that actually make it more manageable, if quite slow, in this run. First of all, the way he interacts with Starstorm is kinda weird. It deals 7 damage, but he only spawns 4 small Tough Puffs. I used Starstorm against this guy as many times as you would expect for this run, and without fail, he just spawned 4 little guys. This means that every Starstorm deals a net 3 damage unless I can manage to defeat the Tough Puffs on the next turn. The thing is, it's hard to use Starstorms or even a Starstorm followed by an item for 2 turns in a row. I constantly need to heal my health, recover my SP, and occasionally I need to Out of Sight with Bo when he charges up his ult Shocky attack. The second saving grace of this fight is how predictable his turn order is. He will always try to eat his Tough Puffs if he attacked on the previous turn, but occasionally you'll run into a scenario where you attack him while he's charging. And in those cases, he'll unleash the attack and then eat the Tough Puffs on the following turn. Dodging his attacks also isn't as free as some of the previous fights. His standard attack is a body slam that does 5 damage, meaning it only does 1 blocked, but his other attack that he seems to use far more often is a coin flip between dealing 2 or 3 damage. Okay, to be fair to this one, you can learn a consistent timing for this attack, but it's not intuitive, so it was a coin flip for my entire fight with him. He has 2 variants of his charge attack, with one dealing 10 and the other dealing 12. These can be blocked, but the timing is pretty difficult to learn. His Tough Puffs will also attack you each turn that they're alive. They latch onto you and deal 2 damage every few seconds. This damage can be reduced by Defend Plus to just 1, and I pretty quickly got consistent at mashing them good enough to take just 1 hit. Unlike the last few fights, this fight has a correct choice on every given turn. Making the wrong choice and missing a crucial block can be fatal. This fight was a grind, but it was super cool to see that it was possible despite his Tough Puff healing mechanics. After the fight, I also managed to do this. Okay, let's see if I can hit this frame perfect, pixel perfect, whatever. Background glitch. I actually just did it? What? It's gotta be easier because I'm doing emulator. What did I just do? What? No, it shouldn't be that easy. It's not supposed to be easy. Unless... Maybe it's not. This is fucked. No, this has to be an emulator glitch. That has to be why it looks like this. It's not supposed to do this. Okay, I'm gonna soft reset my game. This was entertaining, but it is not playable like this. Anyways, we unlock the Star Spirit Clevar, whose ability is pretty much equivalent to a stopwatch item. Probably pretty good, but again, Starstorm actually deals damage, and every enemy in this game is weak to dying. All right, it's time to roll up our sleeves and put in some grinding before we head off to Chapter 7. I came up with a really solid plan to gain experience quickly, but I needed to do some stuff to make it more convenient first. I hadn't been in the Toad Town sewers until now, and there are 3 blooper mini-bosses to be fought down here. Technically, you can just fight 2 of them and not have to fight the 3rd super blooper, but I wanted the challenge, so I fought all 3 anyways. The first 2 are pretty weak compared to what we're used to at this point, but the super blooper is honestly pretty strong. She behaves pretty similarly to Huff and Puff in the sense that she has a normal attack, can spawn tiny enemies and can charge up for a big strike. It can't heal unlike Huff and Puff, but it has 10 more HP and deals more damage with its charge up. I managed to die to this fight on the first attempt by missing a block, but on the second attempt I put on Zap Tap, which helped turn the tide. The baby bloopers have a very similar latch attack to Huff and Puff's minions, but since they aren't immune to electricity, we can completely cancel that attack by simply zapping them. I also got much luckier paralyzes with Watt. The super blooper has a 50% chance to be paralyzed, and it loses 2 full turns when you manage to hit it. This did make the fight quicker. Still grindy, but quicker. After unlocking all the blue pipes to help me travel around faster, I grinded several levels with this method. First, buy 8 Thunderbolts from the Dry Outpost shop. We need to use them in multiples of 4, so buying 10 doesn't save any additional trips. Next, make sure that the Dizzy Attack and Double Dip badges are equipped. And finally, head to Flower Fields and reload for an Amazy Daisy in this room in the bottom right. It has a chance to spawn in the overworld, replacing one of the 2 crazy daisies that normally run back and forth right here. You can simply reload the area back and forth until it shows up. It doesn't take very long. Now this is where Dizzy Attack comes in. By spin dashing into it with this badge equipped, the Amazy will have a turn of dizziness, which works the exact same as Paralyze in this game. All that's left to do is double dip Thunderbolts 2 turns in a row, and we can get through its 20 health before it has a chance to attack or run away. It awards slightly under 50 star points and decreases with every level, but it's still pretty fast, even accounting for the trips back to Dry Outpost every 2 fights. Once you defeat an Amazy, you need to leave at least 2 rooms away for it to be able to spawn again. If you leave just 1 room away, it can't show up again after you've beaten it. Going 2 rooms away once means you can go back to just loading the single room transition here until it spawns again. That was really wordy, so I hope that made sense. I got a little bored of this after a few levels and decided to deal with Chapter 7, but I did do more of it later since my current 25 HP and 15 FP is still only okay. The beginning of this chapter is definitely one of the most memorable parts of the game. Mario is accused of murdering the mayor of Shiver City and is held captive in the town until he can prove his innocence. It's such hilarious whiplash from how cheerful and innocent this game's story is otherwise. After proving that the mayor wasn't dead to begin with, we're free to head for Starborn Valley and rendezvous with whoever the guy we're supposed to meet with is. I can't remember. We don't get very far before Junior Troopa is back for another rematch. This time he knows magic and can use it to deal 8 damage per hit. That's 4 blocked every turn, no exceptions. That's honestly higher damage pressure than most of the recent bosses, but this iteration of Junior Troopa has a 45% chance to be paralyzed and lose 3 turns, so yeah, that definitely slows him down. His pool of 50 health isn't much at this point, and I still had an inventory full of Thunderbolts to double dip on him, making this a pretty easy encounter overall. Next, we're ambushed by Monstar right before we reach Starborn Valley. This fearsome beast has 20 HP and yeah, it only has 1 attack. It uses a super intense shooting star animation and it only deals 1 damage because this guy is actually 20 star kids in a trench coat. This also makes him immune to shooting star attacks and Starstorm, so I have to use 4 Thunderbolts to defeat him. I received the Scarf in Starborn Valley and I can backtrack to get the Color Splash Huey reference from Mayor Penguin. These items open the way to Shiver Mountain, where we have a few puzzles to solve before we can reach the Crystal Palace, where the final Star Spirit is being held. One of these puzzles involves revealing a couple Duplighosts, and then afterwards we have to fight them. And this is where Bombette finally comes into play. Remember when I mentioned way back in Chapter 1 that she had a use in this run despite the fact that all of her moves are attacks and therefore can't be used? This is it. This is finally her moment. Duplighosts are able to transform into whoever your active partner is, and they deal damage equal to what your partner does at their current rank. They have 15 HP, which makes them pretty bulky, but if they transform into Bombette and you happen to have Zap Tap equipped, they'll tackle you, get shocked, and then explode. This instantly defeats them and awards star points. Since I never ranked Bombette up, the copied version only deals 1 damage through my Defend Plus or nothing if I block. Mario wins by doing absolutely nothing. After traversing the rest of the mountain, we can head into Crystal Palace, which is one of my favorite dungeons in the series, if I'm being honest. The puzzles aren't incredibly complicated, but are super satisfying satisfying, the music is great, and the enemies inside are pretty fun. There's also a lot of good badges in here, including another strong contender for best badge in the run, P down, D up. This badge for 2 BP decreases your attack power by 1 but increases your defense by 1. Normally the P up, D down version of this is more desirable, but in this challenge run there is no downside to an attack decrease. It doesn't apply to items or Starstorm, so it's just another defend plus at a third of the cost. We can also find triple dip in this palace, which is like double dip, but it costs more FP and lets you use 3 items in 1 turn. This badge is also quite good for this challenge. There's another required fight against 2 Duplighosts, and I defeated them with the Bombette technique once again. I also opted to fight some optional Duplighosts because of how stupid and funny this technique is. There's a few of them in the overworld, and you can fight some if you mess up the guessing segments inside the palace. There's 3 required fights against White Clubbas and Magikoopas, but they're barely worth talking about since you're probably used to how we deal with normal enemy encounters by now. Let's skip ahead to the chapter boss, the Crystal King. This guy's theme, like Huff and Puff's, is so insanely good. Why did they pop off so hard with some of this game's soundtrack? The Crystal King's design is also super simple but really good. Paper Mario 64 is a fantastic game, guys. I also remember him being quite difficult when I played this game as a kid, and my chat agreed that they thought he would be pretty strong. So with that in mind, can anybody tell me why I absolutely fucking embarrassed him? My defense is quite good at this point, so that certainly helps minimize how much damage he deals to me, but I also discovered that this boss was absolutely not designed with AoE spam strats in mind. Every single attack I have for him at this point targets everything, so that completely invalidates his crystal bits during the first phase and makes his cloning attacks pretty much useless. Between me destroying his divide and conquer strats, he would attack with an ice beam that only dealt 1 damage blocked, and I went into the fight with both copies of Happy Heart equipped. I was regularly healing back those single points of damage for free. I paralyzed him once with Watt, but it became clear pretty quickly that I could just use Starstorm, Group Focus, and then Group Focus again on an infinite loop without any risk of dying. He heals for 20 HP twice, effectively giving him 110 HP. This process is slow, but ultimately I beat him without ever dipping below 34 HP. Seriously, I could have done this without any grinding at all. The final Star Spirit, Kalmar, I'm not 100% sure how to say it, has an ability that's actually pretty useful for us, Up and Away. This has a flat 95% chance to delete all non-boss enemies from a battle. You don't get star points for it, but that's a pretty worthwhile trade-off when you could very easily be max level by this point anyways. And on that note, let's do more grinding. I did a couple more rounds of Amazy Daisy farming until I had 40 HP and still 15 FP. With the strats I was using, the returns get very diminishing beyond these stats. I figured I'd get up to 50 HP during Bowser's Castle, and I didn't really need more FP. Before heading off to Chapter 8, I wanted to do a little more prep, so I cooked a couple Jelly Ultras out of 2 Ultra Shrooms and 2 Jammin' Jellies. These heal 50 HP and 50 FP while only taking 1 item slot each instead of 2. This makes them play very nicely with our tiny inventory. I also decided to tackle more of the optional bosses that my chat wanted to see in this challenge. Second, I hit up Kent-C Koopa. No, that's not a mistake. I actually did do this after doing the true super boss, but it makes more sense to show it in this order, so just don't mind this. He has 70 HP, a ton of attack, and a ton of defense. He has 2 massive weaknesses though, one of which is very easy for us to exploit. He has an 80% chance to be affected by abilities and items that inflict sleep, and when he does, he gets 1 extra turn over the base 3 turns of sleep. This is as good a time as we're gonna find for Lullaby to finally get some use. Disabling him for 5 turns with a single SP is so worthwhile when we have 7 SP slots now. Unlike TTYD, attacks can't wake up a sleeping enemy, so we can basically just stun lock him and slowly chip down his health. His other weakness involves flipping him on his back and targeting his tail, but yeah, we can't do that in this run. Duh. And then first, I went to the dojo. Yes, we're doing the super boss, but we got a few non-super bosses to get through first. Chan is a Buzzy Beetle themed mini-boss, and he's definitely meant to be fought during like Chapter 2. He has 15 health and only 2 attacks, so even unblocked he can't damage us. Next, Lee is a slightly stronger version of a Duplighost, having 20 health instead of 15. I tried the same Bombette strat that obliterated the Duplighosts in Chapter 7, but it disappointingly doesn't work on Lee. He is not weak to exploding. He is, however, still weak to dying. Next up is the first of 3 fights against the Master. The first form has 50 HP and 6 attack, so he only deals 1 damage blocked with all the defense badges we have. Combining that with Zap Tap, his attacks basically have 100% recoil, so he isn't a threat at all. I had lots of Thunderbolts left to double dip on him and speed things up, so let's jump into the second fight against the Master. This time he locks in and goes Saiyan. Not Super Saiyan, just a little bit Saiyan. This form has 75 HP and 8 attack, meaning he can actually kind of do damage to us. 3 blocked. This form is also where he starts to become very weak to Zap Tap. It doesn't damage him more than any other enemy or anything, but he gains a stronger double hit attack in this form that deals 5 and 6 damage per hit, which would only deal 1 if I hit both blocks, but Zap Tap shocks him on the first hit and completely cancels the second hit. This second fight really isn't any stronger than the last couple chapter bosses, so let's beat him and challenge him to the third and final battle. This time he locks in Aura Farms and can deal even more damage than before. He has 99 health and 10 base attack, although he has a double and triple hit this time. The double deals 6 and 7 damage, and the triple deals 5, 6, and then 7. He's still hilariously weak to Zap Tap though, canceling both multi-hits after just 1 attack. This ends up making the multi-hits significantly weaker than the standard attack, which still does 5 blocked. This final form of the Master does have a 20% chance to be paralyzed, but since that's pretty low, I opted to use bow out of sight strats instead, since stalling for recovery actually matters for the first time in a while. It's seriously crazy how strong defensive strats are in this game. I mean, even with shitty item spam, I'm still able to mostly keep up with the Master's damage output. My health did start to dwindle later in the fight, but that's just because I was going for damage instead of healing. If I stopped attacking for a bit, I could have absolutely clawed my way back to full health with a couple smooches. But the Master is fair and honorable and doesn't heal himself, so I took him down with just 8 of my own health remaining. Not too bad. With all of that side questing out of the way, we can finally head up to Star Haven and then launch to Bowser's Castle to finish this journey off. Star Haven contains the second to last item shop in the game, and it has shooting stars for just 15 coins, which is insanely good. And I mean, yeah, I guess they would be pretty common up here. I bought like 30 of them and shoved a bunch into shop storage for later. This should be enough to prevent me from having to backtrack out of Bowser's Castle. So there's been a lot of ado, but it will go no further. Let's spawn the magical boat, learn the Starbeam ability for fighting Bowser, and then finally fly through space and land at Bowser's Castle. Okay, so why the fuck does Mario land at the bottom of the castle? Just fly up to the top, bro. There isn't like a force field or anything. At least I don't think there is. As you would expect from a final dungeon, there are quite a few required fights throughout, and honestly, I think this last dungeon is another super solid one. There are parts of it that are a little tedious and slow, like some of the backtracking after disabling the lava in the first section, or the sushi water section that pops up a bit later, but the music is good, there's a lot of variety in what you're supposed to do, and there's some fun encounters with the giant Bowser DOREs. Our first required fight is against a couple Koopa trolls, but with our most recent Star Spirit power, we can simply turn them to little stars and instantly win. The next required fight is against 3 Koopa trolls and a Magic Koopa, and I decided to actually kill them so I could get some more star points. After turning the lava off, we can return outside to the castle through this newly unlocked path and get a third and final copy of Deep Focus. This one has a different sprite when it drops in the overworld than the other 2 copies because it was likely meant to be some kind of different upgraded version of the badge, but that was scrapped and they just made it a third identically functioning Deep Focus instead. It's a late entry, but more focusing is more better in this run, so we'll definitely use it. Beyond this badge, there aren't really any other collectibles in Bowser's Castle that we need. There's a couple Life Shrooms, an Ultra Shroom, and a Jam and Jelly, but I already sufficiently prepped my inventory so we can just ignore all of that and focus on the fights. There's a room with 4 pairs of Bombshell Bill Blasters, and for some reason, the Bombshell Bills they fire give way more XP than they should. Even though I was at a pretty reasonable level for this point, I was getting 3 star points per bill, and I only take 1 damage from them blocked, so I decided to farm a couple levels. I grinded up to 90-something star points, and then grinded a full 100 star points in a battle against some of the blasters. After leveling, the bills only gave 2 star points each, so this technique maximized how long they would give 3 for. I didn't bother continuing to grind once they gave 2, but I gained my next level and ended up with 45 HP and 25 FP after this room. Having that much FP will actually help in this run for the first time because next up we're gonna fight the Anti-Guy Squad, just like I promised way back in Chapter 4. Real quick, I also want to point out that there's a shop in Bowser's Castle and it gives us very convenient access to our shop storage. We can use this to restock our inventory to a full 10 shooting stars. The second Bowser door challenges you you to a quiz, and if you get 3 questions wrong, he hits you with a 3-pack of anti-guys. This fight could be considered the hardest fight in the game by the numbers. Each anti-guy has 50 health and has 10 attack power. They can also use a different attack that does 12, which does a lot even with our defensive build. The reason I say by the numbers is because there's a few ways to make this fight much easier than the Master or Final Bowser. One of their biggest weaknesses is paralysis, where they have a 50% chance to be paralyzed for 3 turns, meaning they lose a total of 3 turns. So I opened the fight with a triple dip shooting star, dealing 18 damage to each anti-guy. Then I used Mega Shock with Watt. This targets all 3 of them, and on the first attempt I got paralysis on 2 out of 3 anti-guys. I still took 7 damage from the one that wasn't immobilized, and then I used another triple dip shooting star, leaving 14 health on each anti-guy. Finally, I swapped to Goombario to get the Tattle for the purpose of BM, and then I finished them off with one more triple dip shooting star. This method of defeating them is super solid, to the point where it's even viable for a normal non-challenge playthrough. Putting out 54 damage per turn is insane, and it's not even that expensive with how cheap shooting stars are in Star Haven. Our next mandatory fight in Bowser's Castle gives us one more chance to use the Bombette Duplighost tech, and that's because it's against 4 Duplighosts. They try to trick us by transforming into Peach, and then we can trick them by making them transform into Bombette and exploding them all with Zap Tap. Shortly after, we reach the 3rd and final Bowser door, and this one challenges us to a rematch against the Koopa Bros. Except immediately after they show up, Junior Troopa pulls up and fucking solos them, making this actually a final fight against Junior Troopa. Okay, I can't be the only one that also wanted to fight the Koopa Bros here when I was a kid. I mean, you can't, they're dead, but it would have been cool. This iteration of Junior Troopa has 60 HP and 8 attack, so only 10 more health and the same attack as last time. What makes this form more unique is that he swaps between a few of his powers he employed in previous fights. He starts in standard form, then swaps to his spiky flying form, and then swaps to his magic form. During his magic phase, he's able to heal himself for 10 HP. I don't know how many times he's able to do this because I didn't even know he had a healing move before doing this challenge run. He has a 40% weakness to paralyze, so I snagged one after a couple attempts and stole 2 of his turns away. Between that and some triple dip shooting stars, he didn't last long. After beating Junior Troopa, we can proceed up into the taken over Peach's castle, and I gotta say, I am a huge fan of the vibe here. Peach's castle is completely abandoned, with a subtle Bowser's Castle theme playing, and it's a really ominous final setting before the final confrontation with Bowser. There's also a non-final confrontation with Bowser. We actually fight him in the hallway where we fought him at the beginning of the game. This iteration only has 50 HP, and it's meant to introduce the Star Rod and Star Beam mechanics properly. Every few turns, Bowser will buff himself with the Star Rod, and the only way to remove the buff is to use Star Beam, which costs 0 SP to use but takes Mario's turn. Bowser isn't actually invincible when he's buffed, but he gains 4 unpierceable defense and doubles his attack power, so it is always worth it to remove the buff. Other than that, this phase is pretty chill compared to a lot of our recent fights. He only has 6 attack when unbuffed, 8 with his flame, and he has a 30% weakness to paralyze. I used some more triple dip shooting stars to speed the process up, and he went down pretty quickly. He retreats to the tippy top of the castle for the true final battle, so I immediately, without hesitation, turned around and headed back to the shop earlier in Bowser's Castle. I restocked my inventory with those 2 Jelly Ultras from earlier and 8 shooting stars, so with that, let's begin the final fight. He has 99 health, 8 attack power, and can once again buff himself with the Star Rod. This fight is split into 2 phases. The first one only lasts a few turns and then ends once he buffs with the Star Rod for the first time. With Kammy Koopa's extra power, his Star Rod buff resists the Star Beam now, so everyone's favorite Twink has to roll up his sleeves and put in some real work now. Mario is left to kinda just stare awkwardly at Bowser for a few minutes while Twink challenges Kammy to a battle. At first, he can't damage her, but as Peach prays, he gets stronger, resists Kammy's attacks more, and can actually deal damage to her. So yeah, this kinda breaks the rules of the challenge. Twink has to attack in order to make progress in this, but in my opinion, this barely counts as a fight anyways. It's impossible to lose since it's pretty much an interactive cutscene, but haters will say that we failed the challenge here. Joke's on you, we failed the challenge in the very first fight. Anyways, after this Twink beats up this frail old woman, we can do the final Bowser fight for real on God just like that. This fight is honestly kinda boring in this run. Bowser carries over his health from the first phase, so the damage we did there wasn't useless, but he has 3 30 HP heals that he can use, effectively giving this fight 189 HP. His logic for using heals is based on his health compared to Mario's, but this fight is so slow under this rule set that he's pretty much guaranteed to get all 3 heals. I was hoping that this was going to be a culmination of every different strat we learned throughout the run, but we actually just had to revert to stalling for a lot of star storms, using out of sight to avoid damage and gain extra turns, and every few turns he will still buff himself with the star rod and force you to waste a turn using Peach Bean. He did slowly chip my health down as the fight went on, but that's why we brought 2 Jelly Ultras. Due to my focus on offense, my health did get pretty low a couple times, but I was able to regain all of it twice. This fight took over 20 minutes of kinda just menuing and waiting, but in the end we were able to kind of beat Paper Mario 64 without ever attacking. We had to make exceptions for the prologue, of course, and there was that twink thing a second ago, but going into this I was already aware that those concessions were gonna have to be made. The closest we came to actually failing the challenge in my opinion was probably the Lantern Ghost, but thankfully those zap tap strats were actually pretty safe if a bit slow. There were parts of the run that were legitimately challenging, and there were other parts that were more of a test of patience than anything else, but I learned a ton of things about this game that I had never seen before, so that's enough for me to consider it a success. Perhaps my main takeaway from this run is just how damn good Paper Mario 64 really is. The replayability is insane, the combat holds up surprisingly well despite its limitations compared to TTYD, and the overall package is just so cohesive, cute, fun, and wow, the music in this game is so good. Why is the soundtrack in every Paper Mario game so good? This will definitely not be the last time you see this game on my channel, but my next Paper Mario endeavor is going to involve the newest game in the series. Yes, that's right, soon I will play Paper Mario the Origami King for the first time and see if it really is the best of the modern Paper Mario trilogy. But that is going to be the end of this video. Thank you so much for watching, and I would like to give an extra big shout out to all the Bringle members. There's a ton of people that have hit a year or longer on their membership streaks, and it's never not going to be cool to see people stick around and stay invested for so long. I hope that everyone watching this has a fantastic rest of your day, take care, and I will see you next time.